Hello, I'm Dr. Katherine Kelly. I'm a holistic health psychologist and soul healing expert. Now, that means basically that I've studied psychology and practiced psychology for almost 4 decades, but that I've also studied and practiced soul healing for several decades as well. And in what I do, I merge the two. I help people understand body, mind, and soul, and I help them understand holistic health in general. And I also help them understand what I call whole person health. And you cannot understand the human and whole person health without understanding the soul. So, what I'm going to do today is help you understand a little bit more about what the soul is and what it isn't as part of this process of understanding soul healing in general. The history of the soul is very interesting. It actually goes back thousands of years. And in fact, people don't always know this, but the father of medicine, Hippocrates, thousands of years ago, basically said the soul was present in every behavior, in every emotion, and in every organ and every sickness. However, in medical school, I was a medical school professor, and in medical school, it is never taught. It is never taught as part of the aspect of health. Also, Carl Jung, one of the founding fathers of psychology, also said that the soul was present in every thought and every emotion and every reaction. And yet, once again, the soul has not been taught in traditional practices. It's not taught in any kind of conventional psychological or physical training system. So it's really important for us to start bringing the soul back and start to understand that the most important aspect of who we are has been left behind in terms of healing. And it is time to bring that back. It's time to bring whole person health back. And this is what I'm trying to do by helping you understand a little bit more about what the soul is and what it is not. So basically, the soul was considered the spiritual and emotional part of the person, the part that animates the person, the part that drives the person, helps them with reactions, helps them with emotions. All of those kind of drives that come from the human are all animated within us. And I love this second part of it is that the term was thought to be to come from, coming from, or belonging from the sea. Now, the soul is a very fluid part of us. It is not somewhere in the body, it is all throughout the body. And so it's important to start to think about, wow, okay, the flow of the soul. That's why you cannot dissect the body. You cannot find it in anywhere within the body. It is within every single cell. It is within every part of us. It is within every aspect, every thought, every behavior, every reaction, every illness, every joy. It's everywhere. And so when we talk about the soul, it's not a thing, it's an experience. And I'm going to help you understand that a little bit more as we go on. So the soul is also a non-material part of us. Again, you cannot find it in the body. It is the essence of who that person is, including their identity, personality, all memories, all experiences, everything. So it is the immaterial aspect or the essence of a living being that is believed to survive physical death. So the way I try to explain this is that the energy of the soul, the essence of the soul, you cannot remove energy. You cannot, energy does not die. Energy always goes on. It just transforms. So it is really that essence of that living being that just goes on. It is also a unique essence of who we are. With so many souls on this planet, there are 8.6 billion souls on this planet, and that means that there are 8.6 billion unique essences of individuals because no two souls on the planet have the same essence. So that is another important thing to think about in healing, is that we have to treat that particular soul. We cannot put them in a box with the other 8.6 million. We have to put them into that idea of, wow, this is a soul that we need to look at in a very individual way in order to help them heal. It is also our core identity beyond what we've been conditioned to be or to think and or do. And so it goes beyond that. It transcends societal norms. It transcends parenting kind of programming. It transcends all of that. And so that unique part of us does go on, and it is here to evolve. That is another important part to think about. It's here to evolve, not just heal. It is also considered, and this is how I try to explain this to people, it is the central processing unit of everything we are, what we think, what we do, how we feel. It is all parts of the human condition, but it reflects basically all of our reactions throughout our history, throughout our existence, So all thoughts, all behaviors, all emotions, and all reactions, all of that is a reflection of what's going on deep within inside of us. I also want to point out and emphasize the soul is an experience. It is not something we can fully define because we have to experience it. And no one person can say that they can experience another person's soul because it is so unique to us. So that's why we have to start to tune into that soul for ourselves. And as practitioners and coaches and educators and administrators, we have to understand that it's time to start involving the soul in the healing process, because that is the way that we will reach whole person health. So the soul is also the hub of all the survival instinct. It is the part of us that makes us want to live and survive. It is that drive within us that pushes us through even the hardest of times. It is the root of the voice within. You know, a lot of people talk about that quiet voice within, and that's that part of us. That is the message system of the soul. So it's part of our gut instinct, it's our gut reactions, it's that voice within that tells us and instructs us at times and tries to get us basically ahead in life, whatever that might mean. Again, it's the unique part of us that influences our thoughts, behaviors, and decisions. It influences everything, and I can't emphasize that enough because it is really present in everything we are and everything we do and everything we feel and experience. I also like to explain the soul is the energetic signature of who we are. And if you think about a signature, no two people sign their names the same way. And if you think about energy, no particular energy on this planet mimics exactly the other energy. And so every soul is the energetic signature of who we are. And again, that's why it's so important for us to bring back the soul as part of healing so we can help people understand that that is the part of us that needs to be healed the most. It is also something I mentioned, it's also the energetic storage unit of all of our experiences in this lifetime and any lifetime prior, for those of you who understand and believe in reincarnation and past lives. So I liken this to the cloud storage system. You know, everything is on the cloud these days. Everything, our pictures, our files, our messages. And when you think about the soul, it's very similar because we have to really realize that the energetic system within us that carries all of our memories, all of our thoughts, all of our reactions, all of those experiences, it's like a storage system, and the soul has stored all of those experiences, which is why things like ancestral healing are so important right now, because this is the energetic storage throughout the generations that has been passed along. But it's that soul's awareness of that energy of those wounds and past traditions, past generations, that it's stored in that cloud of that soul. So that's just another metaphor or analogy to help you understand how this information gets transmitted forward. It's basically like a cloud storage system. I also like to emphasize that the soul is a spiritual term. It is not necessarily a religious term. I think a lot of people get hooked up with the idea of, oh my gosh, we can't really talk about the soul. That's a religious kind of thing. Actually, it's not, because the fact that there are, again, 8.6 billion people on this planet and not all of them go to church. So that doesn't mean that those people cannot talk about the soul. And if anything, I would hope that all of them start talking about the soul because, again, it is the unique essence of who they are. Also, as a psychologist, I'd like to clear up this thing because way back in graduate school, you know, very far back, I was taught that the psyche and the soul did the same thing. But that is an intellectualized version. And I want to help you understand that these are actually not the same thing. The psyche is the entirety of our intellectual self. So it is the entirety of what our brains do, how we think, how we see things, how we perceive things. But it is not the same thing as the soul, because the soul is the entirety of all that we are, including the psyche. So I'm going to show you an image in just a few minutes that's going to help you understand that actually the soul encompasses the psyche and the body. And that's going to help you understand how important it is for us to start conceptualizing the soul as part of healing, coaching, education, etc. Also, the soul is not our spirit, is related, but it is not our spirit. The spirit is something different. I'm going to help you understand that in a few minutes as well. The soul is also not our intuition. Intuition is the function of the soul and our personality, but it is not the soul itself. So trying to help people understand that the intuition is actually very different than the soul itself, because the soul is sort of the energetic signature, whereas the intuition is a function of that energetic signature. Also, it is not a physical aspect, organ, or thing. So it's present in every physical aspect and organ and thing, but it is not a thing. It is not something you can put your finger on it. You can't take a picture of the soul. So it's that energetic signature behind that physicality. It is also not measurable. And this is one of the reasons I think why science and why medicine and why most mental health has also taken the soul out of the equation when it comes to treatment, because you can't measure it. You don't know how to measure it. You don't know how to define it. And so it is knowable, but it is not measurable. And so when a person comes to know their soul, they absolutely do not deny it. And yet you just cannot measure it. You can't give it a blood test. You can't do an x-ray. You can't find it in any kind of scientific way. And that is oftentimes why it is dismissed or minimized as less important. Also, the soul is not an intellectualized concept. Many of the writings from years ago very much intellectualize the soul. And the difference with that is you can't intellectualize something that is experiential. You really do have to experience that aspect of who you are in order to know what it is and know that it's real. And again, that's why soul healing is so important, because the soul healing aspect is really the deepest kind of healing you can experience or provide if you're a provider or a coach. But it's one of those things where, again, you have to understand it so that you can help other people understand it. The soul is also not destructible. You cannot destruct the soul. You can destruct the body that the soul encompasses and the mind or the intellect, but you cannot actually destruct the soul, because energy cannot be destroyed. It can only transform. So that energy is going to transform in one way or another. And it's just really important for us to realize that it's not destructible, even though our body and our mind are. It is also not an unbreakable or pure aspect. And what I mean by that is, in doing soul healing, I know you can have a fragmented soul. I know you can have a fractured soul. I know you can have a broken soul. I know you can have kind of I call it a holy soul, and I'm not meaning religious. I'm meaning more in terms of you can have punctures, you can have leakage, you can have all these different wounds to the soul. And again, over time, for people who understand soul healing, they become understanding of how these different things can happen. It is also, again, not a religious term. I mentioned that before, because again, I want to emphasize this. There are 8.6 billion humans on this planet, and all of them have a soul. No one on this planet can function without a soul. It is also not something that only humans have. So I talk about the fact that all aspects of life have a soul. So animals, plants, stones, anything that has energy has an essence. Now, it may not be the animated part of the essence. So a stone can't really animate itself to move itself, but it's that energy that's within it. And anybody who has been on a mountain and really felt the energy of a mountain knows that there's a unique essence to that mountain. And so again, it may not be an animate part of some particular things like stones or wood, dead wood, but it is part of everything. So how does the soul compare to spirit, God, universe, and source? And I like to point this out because this helps people understand things. So the soul, again, is the unique essence of who a person is. Spirit is the unique soul plus the influence or the energy of God, universe, and source. So it's that energetic conveyance of all of those. God, mostly known in Christianity and other religions, is considered a creator or ruler of the universe, so a supreme being of some sort. In some religions, it's considered a super being, a spirit that's worshipped as having some sort of power. But I also point out to people that with all of the gods that people on this planet worship, there must be something bigger than all of them that created those gods. So you have to kind of expand that idea out to then the universe, which is considered all existing matter and space considered as a whole. So in other words, a lot of people call that the cosmos. And then we go all the way up to source, which is the beginning or source of all things, which is often very incomprehensible because we again, a lot of times people believe in a God because it's more comprehensible, it's more tangible, it's more understandable. But there is energy behind every God that is worshipped on this planet. And so, for people who are really trying to understand this energy and understand the soul, we are really what I consider an energetic extension of the essence of Source. And I'm going to say that one more time. So, if we are energy, then we are the energetic extension of the essence of Source. So we are very related to all of these things: spirit, all gods, all universe, all source. And yet we have our own unique soul. And so that is the other part of this: is we are related to spirit and God and universe and source, but we have our own basically universe within those universes. We have our own experience and our own essence of who we are within all of those. So, why is the soul important in coaching, healthcare, and all things considered? It's the unique essence of who the individual is. I've said that a gazillion times. I think it's really important to know. Without appreciating the energetic uniqueness of what drives an individual, whole person health cannot be obtained. It's just not possible. Healthcare and mental health care began with the soul, as I said before, but those have been forgotten within those fields. So it needs to be understood, appreciated, and restored to its rightful place in healing in order for true deep healing to take place. Whole person health also includes body, mind, and soul. So in attending only to part of an individual, much is missing in restoring that health of that person. Millions of people are already seeking soul-based healing because they aren't getting it in most of the current traditionally based care systems. So I think it's really important for practitioners and coaches and educators and administrators to realize people are already seeking different kinds of healing from a soul perspective because a lot of the traditionally based programs are not providing that. So it's important for, I think, all practitioners and coaches to start understanding that the soul is important. So in summary, the soul is the unique energetic aspect of who a person is, and it carries all memories of all the events and experiences since the beginning of their experience and existence. The soul never dies, and it's the part of us that makes us want to live. It's that ongoing energetic signature that just keeps moving forward. And it is also the most neglected or dismissed aspect of healing. So it's super important, again, for us to bring the soul back because despite our resilience, we are neglecting that part that needs healing the most. I created this model to help you understand from a visual perspective, really where the soul is in the place of the body and the mind. And I created this on purpose for people to understand that the body is really where we tend to focus the most energy, and yet it is the smallest aspect of who we are. The mind, the emotions, the intellect are expansive beyond the body. And many of us know that there are somatic concerns that land in the body because of unresolved emotions. We also know that we can create health problems because of unresolved emotion. But when we expand that view out and realize that the soul, the energetic essence of who we are, actually leads into every emotion, every thought, all the intellect, and every aspect of the body, then we can consider this as soul-informed care. I created this model a couple years ago to help people understand that the biggest and most important aspect of who we are is, unfortunately, the least acknowledged. And yet we have to get back to realizing that that expansive part of us needs healing too. And I have options and strategies, and I'm hoping to teach all of you this in the future so that you can understand that this really is the next part of whole person care. So bringing the soul back, I really want to help you understand the soul from the human perspective, because to understand a human fully, you must factor in their innermost self. You have to bring that soul back. Practitioners, coaches, educators, and administrators can definitely enhance their effectiveness with any client, any patient, as they learn to reintegrate the soul into their work. And I say reintegrate on purpose because, again, in the beginning of modern medicine, in the beginning of the mental health field, the soul was present, and yet we have forgotten it, we have dismissed it, and it is time to bring that back and time to understand that that is part of healing. So for more information, please go to www.drkatherine.T.Kelly.com. If you want more information, I am launching certifications for practitioners and coaches and educators and healthcare providers to learn to understand the soul more, learn more about the soul-informed care model, learn more about lots of the other models that I've created. And so you can go to those sites and learn more, and also sign up for newsletters and anything else that would be helpful for you to learn. Hope you have a wonderful day. Thank you so much for listening, and let's bring the soul back.